Rockstar Real Estate Agents. My name is Tiffany Fortenberry and I'm one of the owners at Prestige Title of Brevard. We're proud to be the sponsor of the Rockstar Real Estate Series for the second year in a row. As a family-owned and operated business, we are dedicated to providing service you can trust through every aspect of your transaction. We thank you for your business over the last 16 years and we look forward to continuing to serve our Brevard County Realtors.
So I'm going to teach you how not to be working at 1 o'clock in the morning, because that's the goal, right? I got to get my clicker. All right, so hey, thanks for coming today. Just give you a little idea what today will be like. I'm going to speak for about 6 minutes. Sarah will speak for 4 minutes, and Julie will speak for 3 minutes. We should be out of here about 20 minutes. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to speak, and then I think we'll have Sarah speak second because she has to catch a flight back to Indiana. And then we'll have Julie speak. And I'm going to talk to you about what I've been teaching. And again, pardon my voice because it's already starting to go. It may not make it the whole thing. We'll try. But so I'll give you a quick background. I know a lot of you guys know me, but I've been an entrepreneur for 45 years. I've just opened my 27th company, which is my coaching business. I've helped agents all over the U.S. and Canada become successful. I've personally coached hundreds. I've trained thousands and thousands of agents. Some make it, some don't. It's not my fault. It's their fault. It's not my fault. I'll never take responsibility for myself. That's just what I learned. But what I did learn is that most realtors don't build a business. They build a crappy job. And I was that realtor. So when I got into real estate, I sold 36 homes my first year, and I worked 70, 80 hours a week. My second year, I sold 50 homes, 80 hours a week. Next year, 80 homes, 100 hours a week. And that was my life. And then I started my team. Worked 100 hours a week and made a little bit less money and started babysitting. And then if anybody have a team here before? It's a fun way to live your life. And then I started my brokerage, that was the holy grail. Here I am. I've arrived. We got up to 120 agents, and I'm going, wait a minute. I made more money selling houses by myself than I ever made owning a brokerage. And so we merged with EXP back in 2017, and I was able to lift that burden off of myself because it was quite the burden. I will tell you, owning a brokerage, and I've owned, like I said, 27 companies, a restaurant being one of them, a brokerage is worse than a restaurant. If everybody's ever worked in a restaurant, it's a hell business. Brokerage is worse. So today I'm going to show you a different way of doing things. Look at how cute I am. I used to have a beard. I shaved it because I made a mistake one day, and now it's gone. So this is every realtor that I know. Every realtor I know is on call. They run a reactive business, and they run a hamster wheel. Every single person. I was that guy. I literally was working, and then someone would call me at 10 o'clock at night. I'd pick up the phone. Yeah, what can I do to help you? Call me at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, what can I do to help you? And I had no boundaries, and it's really not a fun life. So you're constantly chasing money. My motto these days is to stop chasing money and start chasing freedom. I'll tell you a quick story on this. I know I look like I'm 25, but I'm 63. And when I turned 60, which is what you do every 10 years of your life, you reevaluate your life. And I took a look in the mirror and had a conversation with myself about my life. And I realized, I hate admitting this, but it's true, I can't tell you 5 things I did with my kids. Now, who's got kids? All of us, right, pretty much. And when you find yourself in that position, you look back at your life and go, boy, I was working so hard, working 80, 100 hours a week since I was 19. And you look back and you go, yeah, I made millions of dollars, lost a little bit more. But the only regret is that time I didn't spend with my children. And so I've seen so many of my friends, not just in real estate, by the way, in every business I know, build these businesses where they are working 100 hours a week and they're missing things. So when you take this step back and you look at your life, you go, all right, well, why was I doing that? We told ourselves, this is part of the Big Lie book, right, that I wrote, we tell ourselves we're doing that for our family. That's a bunch of crap. Honestly, it was a lie. I told myself that. I told my family that. But the reality, I was doing that for me. It was all about me and my ego and me trying to get up to here because I wanted to be the guy. When you're only 5'6", you're always trying to be taller. And I used to be 5'7". I'm shrinking. I'm 5'5.5" now. Funny story about that. My wife and I are shrinking at the exact same level. She was 4'11" when I met her, And now she's 4'9". I was 5'7" when I met her. Now I'm 5'5.5". But I was always chasing money. And, I made my first million at 23 years old. And I was like, wow, I made my million. Now I got to make 2. And then it was 4, then it was 10, then it was 20, then it was 80. And then I lost it all in 2000. And I was like, what did I just do? But then I hopped right back on that hamster wheel when I got into real estate and started working, doing the same thing I did, just chasing money. Is this you guys on a vacation? You go on a vacation, how many times do you actually go on a vacation when you're in real estate? The phone rings nonstop. In fact, what's the rule? If you want to sell a lot of homes, plan a vacation, right? Everybody knows that, right? And then the thing is, are you present with your children? So it wasn't that I wasn't there with my kids. I was there, but I was never present. I go to baseball all the time. My grandson plays baseball as a sophomore in high school. And I can't tell you how many people are sitting there not watching the game on their phones, texting away and doing business or whatever. They're probably playing solitaire, but the reality is they're not present. You have to be present. Right? Now, as we start talking, I'm going to have to look back because I can't see my monitor here. But the key is what happens if something happens to you. If you don't have a business, then you really have nothing. And that's the problem with most entrepreneurs, most solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, is something happens to you, your business is done. And that's the challenge. And I think Sarah will talk a little bit about that, why she developed the app that she developed. So the goal here is to build something that works even if you're not working. And the reality is, now I was tempted this year to go back and sell homes, and I haven't sold homes since 2021, because I know I could sell 80 homes this year, and I could probably do it in 25 hours a week, maybe less. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, how to do that, how to leverage. So what I'm going to talk about, by the way, there are some teams, there are some brokerages that make money. I can tell you that I talk to teams and brokers every single day, and I'll give you a couple of examples. None of them make money. Now, are there some outliers that do? Yes. But I'll give you an example. I have a group in San Diego that joined us back in 2 years ago. The year before that, they lost $700,000 with 120 agents. We had a group in Vegas join us with 180 agents. They broke even in 2022. I have a group I'm talking to right now in Hoboken, New Jersey. $1 million, 350 agents. In 2023, they made $104,000. Think about that. 350 agents, they made $104,000. And they're working 100 hours a week. They're dying. The guy I talked to, and he can't switch. Like, he wants to join me and go into business with me, but he can't because he's got 5 offices he leases. He's got all this overhead. There's no way he's going to get out of this rat race. He's stuck there forever. Again, I'm not going to go through my background, but I've opened a lot of stuff. I was the first online dating service. I was the third and biggest paintball business in the country. If anybody does need dating advice, I'm still pretty good at it. Anybody single? No. And I said I've had ad agencies. I've had everything you can think of. And again, I sold a lot of homes. I've sold over 1,000 homes. And built a team. We had 6 agents on our team, then up to 120 agent brokerage. More back on. So that used to be me. Is that you? Look at same forehead. He has more wrinkles than I do. That was my beard. My belly's about the same. Yeah. And that's me now. Yeah. Now the reality is I don't go to the beach because I get bored silly sitting at the beach. But it made for a good graphic. By the way, ChatGPT. All these graphics, if you're not using ChatGPT for your business, are amazing. I literally went on there and said, I want a picture of a bald guy with a beard sitting on a beach, reading a book. Well, his wife's reading the book. And look, it literally was like less than 30 seconds. Like all these pictures were less than 30 seconds. So I only have one superpower. I'm really not smart. I mean, I will admit that all the time. I got kicked out of college the first time. Second time I did get a 3.6, but I grossed my first million that year. I'm like, why am I in college? To pick up girls and go to parties. And I said, I made $1 million. I can pick up anybody I want and go to have my own parties. But my only superpower in business is I can look at anybody's business a little bit differently. And I've been consulting small businesses for 30 years, 40 years now. And I just keep helping small businesses build their businesses differently. And it's all database driven. I want to talk about your typical team model. And I'm not going to pay attention to my PowerPoint because it's going to confuse the heck out of me. But your typical team model is the team leader generates all the leads. And then they will give their leads to the agent, and the agent will go show property, and you're going to give them 50-50 for doing that. Right? Every team, so people on teams here, I know. That's how teams work. And then when the person gets an offer, generally the team leader is going to negotiate that offer because the new agent doesn't know how to do that, right? And most of you people on your teams are newer agents. So they come back, they give you the offer, I negotiate the offer, the assistant will write the offer, and then they go to the inspection, the agent goes to the inspection, and then they come back and go to closing. And you give them 50%. Pretty standard, right? Everybody's life goes in this business. However, I'm going to use $400,000 as a sale because it's not a really intelligent business model. No offense to anybody that's on a team or new here, but it's not an intelligent business model. So just think about this. I'm going to give that person 50%. This is real life, by the way, which in a $400,000 sale is $5,000. They worked about 5 hours. It's really 7 hours, but I use 5 because it's easier math. And at 5 hours and 50%, it's $1,000 an hour. Can we get that? $1,000 an hour. Who's made $1,000 an hour? Well, I have, but besides me. Right? I pay a respiratory for one of my businesses $1,050 an hour. Right? It's $1,000 an hour, and it just doesn't make sense to me why you would run that business model. It just doesn't make sense. And the worst part, again, if you've ever had a team before, they resent you for it. So not only do you pay them $1,000 an hour, they're mad at you for only giving them $1,000 an hour. It's the way it works. So when I came up with this concept of what we're teaching now, I really took a step back and said, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would I do that? Why would I pay someone that's a brand new agent with no skills, no offense to anybody that's new, $1,000 an hour? And they're going to hate me for it. This is the broker and team leader model of everything. This is why the brokerage model does not work. This is why I wrote the book called The Big Lie, because the reality is we're paying these dollar figures out to people, and they get that money for free, meaning they didn't pay for the leads, they didn't pay for the admin person, they didn't pay for the inside sale agent, they didn't pay for the CRM. So the $5,000 I get about $500. Right? And yet the person who worked 5 hours gets $5,000. It never made sense to me. So what I've learned is most people are leaving most of the money on the table. And we talk about this a lot. Just go to the light, go to the light. Sorry. And what happens when you start a team, your personal production goes down. So when I started my team back in 2004, my production went down about 25, 30%. Right? Because I'm now, no offense to anybody, but I was glorified babysitting at that point. And just trying to hold people's hands and teach them to be successful. And you know the numbers in real estate, 86% will not be successful. And then when you start a brokerage, it literally, when my production went down 75%, it had to go down 75% or I wouldn't have been a good broker. Now you'll see a lot of brokerages in town, and my ex-business partner does this right now, still to this day, working 6 to 8 months out of the year to sell houses full-time to pay for the expenses of the office, because the majority of offices don't make any money. Your typical amount of agents that actually sell in a team or a brokerage is about 30%. So if you see a brokerage with 10 agents, that means there are really about 3 that are productive. And then the challenge with all this is we keep doing this over and over and over and over again. And that was my life. The challenge is, and I knew, by the way, I knew my second year of owning Tropical Realty that I made a mistake. But I liked being the guy. It was all ego-based. Like my wife couldn't afford to buy her purses. Now she can. But the ego is what drives you. And the same thing when you have these agents working 100 hours a week, 80 hours a week selling houses. It's a badge of honor. It's the stupidest badge of honor there is. And that's just the reality. It's not a badge of honor. It's stupidity. And I'm not the guy. So I did all this, and that's why I can talk on it these days. And then again, you give people 50% of the commission, and you get nothing back for it. So the modern team, and I'm going to stand up here a little bit so I can see this better. All right. The whole idea of the modern team was to eliminate, and again, this sounds crueler than it is, was to eliminate realtors from my team and just work with people like an assistant and an ISA. ISA is an inside sales agent, and a transaction coordinator. And then contract agents out to actually show property for you. The biggest time suck in real estate is showing property. Now, if I was doing this today, I would probably not do listing appointments either. I pay someone to do listing appointments. But you can't keep doing this lifestyle 80 hours a week and enjoy your life. It's just not worth it. So this is your staff. You get a full-time assistant. Right? And by the way, if you don't have 80 sales a year, you can get a part-time assistant. You don't need a full-time. Full-time ISA. ISA, again, means inside sales agent. And Julie's going to talk a lot about that when she comes up in a little bit. Transaction coordinator. And then a list of agents you can work with. Now, the only caveat to the list of agents you can work with, now they do have to be in your brokerage because of the new rules with the buyer brokerage agreement. So before we could pick up any agent from any brokerage and they could show property for you, but these days they can't do that. So your full-time assistants, a couple things we got to talk about with assistants. And I'm adamant about these things. People do it differently all the time, which is good for them, but I don't agree with it. I want everybody licensed. So I want my assistant licensed. Why do I want a license? Because she can go show property for me if she has to. If we have nothing going on, she can negotiate deals for me. She can talk to customers about everything from inspections to different houses and all that stuff. If they're not licensed, they can't do that. They're just not licensed to do that. They can run all your listing activities. They can do everything for you that you can do. And your assistant is your right-hand person. Pat and I have been, well, she's not my assistant, but she's my business partner, but it's been for 19 years. Now, everybody should be blessed to have someone like Pat who's awesome and organized. I'm going to say really nice things about you, Pat. And actually, pretty much my best friend these days. But they coordinate open houses. They coordinate the marketing and all that stuff. If you do hire a VA to do some of that stuff, which we do, they coordinate that person. They also coordinate with the inside salesperson on the people that they show property to, that your agents show property to. So this is super important to have the right person. I will tell you, when hiring anybody, do not hire anybody just for the sake of hiring somebody, right? Because you have to have somebody today. Make sure it's the right person. Now, I'm very, very blessed and lucky with Pat's relationship that I have. I didn't know when we hired her 19 years ago that she was going to be who she is today. She was just this Northern Ireland girl that had a weird accent. but she's very cool. Inside salespeople, and again, Julie's going to talk about this a little more. Again, licensed. So yes, you can hire people unlicensed from the Philippines for $4 an hour. Right? You can. They cannot talk about real estate. They cannot really do anything. I owned Julie was my ISA manager then. We owned an inside sales company for 3 years. And when we didn't have licensed people, because they were not licensed, we were averaging a 2 to 3% conversion rate. And this is just on registration leads. However, in our brokerage with licensed ISAs, inside sales agents, we had a 6% conversion rate. So by using licensed people, we were able to double our transaction volume because they're able to talk real estate. So think about that as a consumer. You're all consumers. You all buy stuff, right? And so if someone calls you, if you're registered on a website, and someone calls and say, hey, I see you're registered on our website, and you'll say, yeah, I was interested in 555 Main Street, and then they'll say, well, yeah, that's great. Let me have Pat give you a call. So now you have to try to get a hold of that person again. It's a whole miscue of communication. I can tell you myself, when I talk to someone that's that doesn't know what they're talking about when they call me, they lose me as a customer. All right, so you want licensed so they can talk real estate, but also because you can compensate them differently. Right? I'm an incentive guy. I'm in sales, so I want people to be incentivized to do more sales. So we always wanted our ISAs to make $60,000+ a year, which is a good paycheck. That's about what you guys made, right? You made about $60,000 a year or so. Yeah, and that was the goal. We want to make our ISAs to take about $60,000 a year. So we did a base plus 5%. And depending on where you are, that can be really, really hefty. We have agents in California that are doing this model right now, and they're paying, instead of $25 an showing, they're paying $75. And when they show property out there, instead of paying $1,000 an hour, they're paying $3,000 an hour, $4,000 an hour. So this allows you to pay based on incentive, because if you pay someone too much, they don't generally do as much work. That's just the reality of running all these companies. But they're going to call you internet leads. They're going to call you a database. And again, Julie's going to talk a little more, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Mainly, your database is your best friend. And unfortunately, in our business, nobody actually does it. You guys have seen me speak before. You have more business sitting right here than you'll ever need the rest of your life. And I can tell you, I did 250 free coaching calls last year. to new agents and taught them how to export their database and set up a mail campaign. 5 exported the database. Nobody did the work. Think about that. So one of the things when you're in real estate, I tell new agents all the time, the challenge for new realtors is the barrier to entry is $1,500 at max, right, to become a realtor. There's no investment. If you have a mindset of $250,000 to start your business, which is what I did on day one, probably why I sold 36 homes my first year. If you can give yourself a mindset, if you invested $250,000 in your business, you're going to make a lot more money. You can be a lot more successful. The other thing I've found with realtors, and not just realtors, just everybody, if you need to be successful, you generally will. If you just want to be successful, maybe. I had 3 months worth of revenue when I got into real estate. I needed to be successful or I was going to go bankrupt within 3 months because I lost all my money. And I sold my first house in 5 days. That's including having 9/11 in there. Anybody can do this stuff. But again, they're going to track all that. They're also going to track your agents. So Julie and the other 2 ISAs that we had managed all my agents. I didn't manage my agents. I fired them. Kind of fun. But I didn't manage them, right? Julie and Marlena and Tiffany managed the agents. And then I would manage Julie and Tiffany and Marlena. And they'd come to me and we'd talk about each agent. How was their production? What were they doing? Who was doing the work? Who wasn't doing the work? They would tell me who to fire. I'd have to take Julie loves you, but I have to get rid of you. Stuff like that. And then finally, your transaction coordinator. So everybody knows, I'm not going to go into that. Everybody knows what a transaction coordinator does. One thing I will tell you, if you are not using a transaction coordinator, stop it. You need to. You should never be doing 10 to 15, well, now it's $15 to $20 an hour jobs. Right? So if you've sold, who's here sold at least 5 homes? Right? Almost everybody? Right. So if you've sold at least 5 homes, you should never do a contract to close ever again. Right? Stop running yourself like a job. All right. So, and then there's the realtors. I'm going to tie this all together in a minute. So my realtors on my team are not really on my team. They're just licensed. I pay them hourly. So depending on your market, $25, $30 an hour, or you can pay $25, $30 a house. That's whatever you want to do. And then give them a bonus. Now, you don't have to. I have people that are doing this model that don't want to give them bonuses. And they don't have to. I'm a little more generous and not so greedy. So I would give a bonus. So let me give you an example of what that means. That same 5 hours of work, instead of paying out $5,000, crazy, right? You're paying out $125 plus 10%. So you're paying out basically about $1,100, $1,200. So what does that mean for you? You're making now $3,200 more, $3,800 more, I'm sorry, $3,800 more per transaction that you're giving out. Would that change your life if you add an extra $3,800 to your life? Every transaction, of course it will. Most of your agents that are doing this are not going to have experience, so you're actually helping them. I had a realtor I'm helping with right now in North Carolina who's getting me to sign up my coaching program. And she said, well, isn't this not nice to new agents? I said, it actually saves new agents. The one reason why new agents fall out is because of cash flow. Right? They don't have enough cash flow. And so I got to keep drinking water from my throat. And so they fall out. So now I'm able to give them some cash flow. I can give them a couple of deals a month. They're making a couple $1,000s a month. They get to stay in the business. They also get to get experience. They also get to learn how to negotiate deals, how to write offers and all that stuff, even though they're not directly on my team. The upside is they're not calling me to, how do I write an offer? How do I do this? How do I do that? Right? And I will tell you, as a team leader, as a broker, it's frustrating, right? Because you expect people to practice and learn their craft, and unfortunately in our business they don't. Right? They wait till they actually have an offer or have to write a contract. They haven't wrote a contract in 4 months. And like, what do I do? What do I do? I got one yesterday. I'm like, I don't know, call the broker. I'm not the broker for a reason. And again, they're going to report back. They're going to do all your showings for you. You can set the appointments for them, or they can set it however you want to do it. You're just paying them hourly or per house. But it's a lot more, as a business, and I get some people that get upset with me about this, but it's a business. And if you're running a business, paying someone $1,000 an hour to open doors is ludicrous, right? No offense to anybody, but it's ludicrous. And then the agents would report back to the ISA. The ISA would report back to the assistant, and that's how we keep everybody on track. It's very simple. There's nothing complicated about this. And we use a program called Showing Team, which Sarah's going to talk about in a little bit, which I highly recommend if you're going to do this, that you need an app to be able to do this. And it's different agents for different things. So, for instance, I might have a group of agents that might show 250 to, I'm just using our market here, $400,000 homes. I might have another group of agents that are showing 4 to 600, 4 to 800,000 homes. I might have another group that's showing 800,000 or plus. Now I might sit there and say, well, heck, they want to buy a $2 million house. I think I'll show that myself, right? I'm probably going to do that myself. So I'm not telling you to alleviate every single buyer you have by doing this, but now you get to pick and choose, right? Any questions about that? So these are the numbers we kind of talked about a little bit, but, and I'm going to look at this while I talk to you, so I want to make sure I get it right. On a typical team member that does about $250,000 in revenue, you're going to give them $125,000. And you're going to get $125,000. You still have to pay the ISA, you still have to pay your marketing, you still have to pay your assistant. That all comes out of your pocket, right? And so you don't actually, you just gross that money, where the agents you're paying are netting that money pretty much, except their dues and stuff like that. With the buying team, that $125,000 cost, and I can break this down in more detail, but not today, is actually $41,000. So you're making $80,000 plus, $84,000 more doing your business this way, but more importantly, you're building freedom. Because there really is nothing worse than missing your kids grow up. And I don't want you to do that. And if you, by the way, I'm in the grandkid stage now, right? So it's even more important to me. I work 30, 35 hours a week. You will not get me working a minute more than that, because I'm going to be at Henry's baseball games. I'm going to play music with my granddaughter and all that stuff, because that's way more important than making money. And once you stop chasing money, you know what happens? You make more money. Right? When you take that pressure off of you, you make more money. It's very simple. And I want to talk about your database for a minute. And again, many of you heard me say this before. We're going to reiterate it because, hey, we're filming and I want people to hear this, and some of you haven't. Your database is the most important thing you have on in your business. And I don't care what business you run. You could be running. I helped a camera shop quadruple their business just by understanding how to maximize their database. Every single one of you. How many people? Let's do the exercise. 'Cause I love this exercise. Open up your phones for a second, and just yell out how many contacts you have on your phone. And I'm going to give you some numbers. Yeah, if you have, I don't know how to do it on an Android and an iPhone. You can just click list on your contacts. Okay. Right. Yeah. I had one when I was speaking in Miami the other day. We had one that had 18,000 in her phone, right? So here's the number. 7 out of 100 of your contacts are going to buy or sell a home this year. That's not my number. That's an NAR number. The actual number is 11, but I like to set low expectations. But nobody ever does anything with this. Literally nobody. So all you have to do is export it. If you go onto YouTube, you can type in, how do I export from my iPhone to Excel? There's 6,212, actually 213, so I do one, videos that show you how to do it. And I did this the other day. I have zero technical ability. People say, how did you own tech companies when you don't know anything about tech? You hire people. But it took me less than 5 minutes to do this. And I have 2,400 people. But it's not just 1,000 people in your phone that you have. It's actually 1,000 people equals 250,000 people. Right? Because they all know 250 people. And then what we do is once we export it, you have to get their email addresses. Now, this is the hard part, because you have to sit there and text, hey, Bill, just updated my contact list. What's your email? Really tough, right? I had a girl I just coached recently who did this. She had 1,200 contacts on her phone. It took her a week, and she got 800 email addresses. Now, she did not listen to the second part of this. And that's the challenge. There's two parts. You have to export your database. You have to get the email addresses. And then you have to send them stuff. And the problem is most people oversend. Who does newsletters here? So the problem is most people don't read them. Right? So, and I did them for years and years. And as you do them, you'll see the open rates start dropping and dropping and dropping. How many of you guys have friends that you get newsletters from? And all you do, so after a week, after the second one, delete. That's what the consumer's doing to our newsletter. So when we came up with this program, we said, all right, well, what can we give them that they won't delete, and what are people interested in? So we know what's the first thing that someone asks you when you say, I'm a realtor. How's the market, right? So everybody wants market updates. So we do a twice a month email. This is how you do this. to stay in touch with your database. It's not too much. It's not too little. Oh, well, let me go back for a second. And I know you guys know this because you heard me speak before. But why do people use you as a realtor? There's only one reason. You're in front of them. That's the only reason why people use you as a realtor is because you're in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. How can someone like myself, who knew zero people except my girlfriend, who's now my wife, sell 36 homes? But all those people were local. There was no out-of-area people. They all live local. And I sold 36 homes my first year without knowing anybody. My voice gone. That's because I happened to be in front of them when they were thinking about buying or selling. Really, really simple. So I want you to think about this, and the first email that goes out every month is the market update, and it kind of goes like this. One of the things I do for my friends and family locally is keep them updated on the local real estate market here in Brevard. Below is the stats for last month. And if you're part of my group, which some of you guys are, we send you a market update every month with an infographic. However, the board sends you a market update every month that you can just copy and paste into this. And this is the important part. You have to end it like this, and I'll say it slowly, which is really hard for me. As you know, by the way, both emails we send end with this exact line. As you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you send me their contact info? I'll say it one more time. As you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you send me their contact info? There's two things happening in that message. One is psychologically, the words really, really are really, really powerful, right? Think about the difference. Actually, let me read this to you the way other people would say this. As you know, as a realtor, I could really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you give them my contact info? That's how most people say this. I say, as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only. I could really, really use your help. Really, really, it's a psychological thing. And if you know someone looking to buy or sell, could you give me their contact info? I want their contact info. Because I want to call them and say, hey, my buddy Dave just gave me your number, and how do you know Dave? And you start talking about Dave, and then you now it's a personal referral. It's a lot different. The reality is when you ask somebody to give somebody your contact info, they're not going to, right? Be proactive. And then your only job is to add someone to the database every month. Well, actually, let me go to the second email first. Second email is top 10 things to do where you live. So we're in Brevard County, so top 10 things to do in Brevard County. Now, don't just write down, go to the zoo. Be a little creative, find cool things that go on. They're all online. And then you just come up with top 10 things. And the email starts out with, one of the fun things I get to do as a realtor is share my top 10 things to do in Brevard. Here they are we're in November for December. And that's it. You don't need to do more. The more difficult you make this, the more difficult it is and the less responses you get. I had an agent do this not too long ago. In her first 4 months with a database of 400, she did 6 listings and 4 buyers. Right? 400-person database, not 3,000. And she did 6 listings and 4 buyers just by doing that email. And then she stopped doing it. She got busy. So everything is about consistency. If you're not doing things consistently, you will not get the results. It's really simple. So this is really the way to manage your database and keep it simple. Now, one of the things I do like to do is I don't like to put my email list and my CRM together. I like them separate. And the reason being is what we found over the years, if your CRM has 1,000, 2,000 people in it, you will never work it. We found that the more when we had our brokerage, when we had our agents getting 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 leads in their database, their conversion rates went down dramatically because they'd open up the database and look at it and go, no, and then just walk away. And what we found is if you keep a database around 200, 300 people that are active, you're going to get a much higher conversion rate. Does that make sense? Okay. So why did I start doing this stuff? Pat said to me a few months back, she's like, why are you doing this? Like, you're like so close to retiring, and all of a sudden you decided to start a new company and start coaching and all this stuff. And the reality is I don't feel like I've impacted enough people in my life, and I really want to take people from here to here. I mean, I can't really spend much time training new agents anymore because I only got a few more years left before I drop dead. So, well, I mean, I am 63. I'm planning to live to 142, but I don't think I'll be very coherent after 112. So it's really about, I've been really, really blessed in my life, and I find that giving back to people and helping them grow their businesses is very enjoyable to me. And I also find that, working with agents that are selling 20, 30, 40 homes a year and teach them how to sell 50, 60, 70, 80 homes a year and working less is very, very rewarding for me. So that's what I'm doing. It's not really the money. By the way, I do charge, and I charge a lot of money for my coaching. However, my coach, who I paid a lot of money for, told me the reason why those 250 people last year didn't do the work is because it was free. Right? Even here, we had half the people show up, right? And why? Because it's free. If I had charged $100 to be here, they all would have shut up. And so that's, it's one of the things that I'm learning. It's very difficult for me. I'm a giver. So to me, it's like, let's give you whatever you need. But if I charge you, you're going to be more invested. If you're not invested in your business, you won't be successful. Okay, so you guys all know my contact. If you want to schedule a 15-minute strategy call to go over stuff like this, coachwithmitch.com is my calendar. And you can set that up, and I'll gladly do that. We're going to take like a 3-minute break so I can set the other person up. We're going to have Sarah come up so that way you can catch your flight if you have to. And give you 3 minutes to... Oh, yeah, like this.